Greetings, I'm Nasha.
I'm Luna.
And I'm Naura.
And we're from
Clover. And we're here to guide every MSMEs through Bri-Ring with
BRI.
And this is how.
Indonesia is a home for 65 million of MSMEs. They contribute more than 60% of GDP and they almost employ until 97% of Indonesia's workforce. They have become our backbones in our economy. While every morning, millions of Indonesia wake up with a dream to keep their business alive. But not every MSME is trying to build the next big company. For example, please meet Sari. Sari is a business owner. She dreams to grow her business, expand their business, and expand to the new market. But every step forward, it's held back by limited capability and limited education.
Now meet Budi. Budi isn't looking to expand. His business simply helps his family to survive this day and the next. They are both MSMEs, but they have different ambitions. This is where we find our first insight, that not every MSMEs wants to grow. According to the data given, there are tens of millions MSMEs in Indonesia, but only a small percentage is able to successfully grow into the higher category. So perhaps the question is to not to help every MSMEs, but help the right MSMEs to grow.
The realizations was completely changed the way we approach the case. Before BRI should do something for them, we should understand first what BRI was actually trying to solve. The first question is, if the goal is to make UMKM naik kelas, where should BRI start? Should they fix the internal of MSMEs first, or should they start merging and creating market opportunities for them? Or in the other word, should BRI create supply first, or should BRI create demand first? And another question is merge. Indonesia has more than 60 million of MSMEs. BRI cannot and should not allocate the same amount of resource to everyone, because if resource is limited, where should BRI focus first? Which kind of MSMEs should BRI focus and prioritize to maximize the business impact and social value? Well, after all, we realize that almost every question eventually come back to the same persons.
The Mantri. Today, Mantri assesses loans, educates customers, and also give mentoring and introduce digital services while also maintaining customer relationships. Every new initiative added a new layer of responsibility. The problem isn't that Mantri lacks capability. The problem is that we're asking every responsibility to one person. If future developments depends on an already overloaded Mantri, can BRI really scale its impact?
These questions has become our foundations in our analysis. Our objective wasn't simply to increasing the finance, but we tend to make and help BRI to help MSMEs to move the business ladder.
To answer these questions, we decided to leave the classroom and travel to Majalengka, a village that now known to export rattan furnitures to 7 countries across Europe. But 30 years ago, the village looks entirely different. They are only known by selling raw rattan to nearby cities like Cirebon. Some experts had tried to introduce formal training. Experts came, workshops have held, but little was changed. But then, something unexpected happened. One local farmer that has been delivering raw rattan regularly to a buyer in Cirebon. And over the years they are working together, they have built trust. And one day, the buyer offered him something beyond a transaction. He offered him an opportunity. Instead of only selling raw rattan, he invited him to teach him how to turn rattan into furniture. And then what began as a business relationship slowly turns into a learning relationship. The farmer came home and teach his neighbors, and his neighbors teach others, and others teach the next generation. Today, the village became one of Indonesia's leading rattan exporters in the world. And what we thought about this story was not about rattan only, it's about relationship. Growth didn't spread because of one training session. It spread because someone they trusted stayed long enough to teach them.
That experience brought us back to our original questions. If relationships were the catalyst behind Majalengka's success, what was preventing millions of other MSMEs from experiencing the same journey? We started by asking, who are we actually trying to help? Using behavioral segmentation and jobs to done analysis, we found that growth-oriented MSMEs require fundamentally different interventions from survival-oriented businesses. Treating both groups the same create inefficient outcomes. And next, we explored what prevents growth-oriented MSMEs from scaling. Through system dynamics analysis, we found that capability must come before market expansion. Businesses cannot capture larger demand if they are not yet ready to apply it consistently. But capability alone still wasn't enough. We mapped the entire MSME ecosystem. Universities, buyers, government, agencies, communities, and financial institutions. Every stakeholder already existed, yet they rarely worked as one coordinated ecosystem, which led us to another question. Who already possesses the resources to orchestrate this ecosystem? And the answer was clear: BRI. No institution combines financing, nationwide branches, monthly customer relationships, and community presence at this scale. Yet despite these strengths, MSMEs still struggle to graduate. Why? Because every new initiative still depends on the same operating model. The monthly remains responsible for almost every customer-facing activity. Our bottleneck analysis confirmed that BRI's biggest challenge isn't a lack of resources, it is an operating model that relies too heavily on one person. And that is why we chose rural MSME development as the social value of our solution, because the greater impact comes when more rural MSMEs can continuously grow, not just receive financing, which led us to one conclusion. BRI doesn't need more programs. It needs a better way to connect its existing resources so more rural MSMEs can continuously move up the business ladder. We propose Bri-Ring, BRI Relationship Integrated Network Growth, pronounced as Bri-Ring in Indonesia, meaning together and unity, but at the same time, Ring also means circle, which will help MSMEs grow. Bri-Ring is not a new program or platform. It is an operating model that connects BRI's existing strengths, financing, monthly, existing programs, and ecosystem partners to help rural MSMEs progress through their growth journey. So how does Bri-Ring work? First, every MSME starts with understanding their current condition through Ring Record. Instead of treating every MSME the same, Ring Record creates a structured view of the financial readiness, business capability, market access, and growth intention. Second, Ring Path turns this understanding to a personalized growth roadmap. Based on their growth stage and biggest challenge, MSMEs receive different support, from basic capability building for early businesses to market access, expansion financing, and stronger banking solutions for growing enterprises. Third, Ring Navigator makes this journey scalable. The role of monthly does not disappear. Monthly remains the trusted relationship owner who understands and monitors customers. However, instead of solving every problem alone, Monthly connects MSMEs with various existing resources and ecosystem partners. And finally, Ring Network allows growth to continue. Successful MSMEs can become peer mentors and business connectors. Through Bri-Ring, financing is no longer the end of relationship. It becomes the starting point of rural enterprise development, helping rural MSMEs grow while creating stronger, long-term relationships between Bri and its customers.
A trusted relationship manager that guides customers through every stage of their financial journey and also identify the right financial solutions at the right stage. But what about the MSMEs that are not eligible yet? Today, rejection is the end of this relationship, but we believe that it should be the beginning, where these MSMEs should enter the Bri-Ring program, not another community training program. It is a community growth engine that is inspired by Indonesia's cooperative values. In villages where no successful entrepreneurs have existed, the monthly temporarily seats the first co-host. While gathering the MSMEs and initiates first learning, it becomes the first trusted community. But it only happens once, because over time, those cohorts become the teachers for the next generation. Yesterday's learners become tomorrow's teachers, because knowledge no longer depends on BRI alone. It spreads through local relationships, and over time, just as we witnessed in Majalengka, the community will become self-sustaining. The monthly no longer manages every individual business, it manages the relationship with the community. And business growth becomes the mechanism and community becomes the engine, as this relationship will become BRI's strongest competitive advantage.
Implementations begins with pilot villages where BRI already has strong community presence. During the first phase, Phase 1, built from 0 until 6 months, pilot in 10 villages across 5 provinces and train 100 monthly as community seeders. Establish 10 Bri-Ring communities recruit first 500 MSMEs, and in year 2, we would like to expand to 500 villages and 50,000 MSMEs in Bri-Ring, and 80% of community become self-sustaining. Monthly would focus on primarily financial progressions and relationship management, and in the next 3 until 5 years, we believe this will expand to more villages across rural areas in Indonesia, while Monthly spend less time repeating operational tasks and more time strengthening relationship. And for BRI itself, higher customer lifetime value, better portfolio quality, and stronger customer retentions, and a relationship banking model that becomes increasingly difficult to replicate.
When we first visited Majalengka, we thought we're only seeing people weaving rattan, but actually we're witnessing how sustainable growth actually happens, and not through one-time interventions and not through more programs.
But through relationships that continue creating opportunities long after financing begins, because the loan may start a business, but relationship build communities, and communities build Indonesia. With Bri-Ring, together we grow further.